right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back here to Dolphins versus the World. I am Chase here, and I'm joined by my co-host, Alex Finn Sports, as always. And we're going to get right into the schedule. We're going to break it down for you, talk about some stuff going around on the league. And, yeah, how you doing, man?
Having mic troubles. All right, there we go. I was trying to unmute. I'm doing good, man. It's good to be here for another episode. We kind of talked a little bit about it backstage, but we gotta shout out the South Florida sports team, Florida Panthers and Miami Heat, both last night advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals. Man, is it AFC Championship or bust this year for the Dolphins? I mean, is this the standard that we're setting now?
Well, I mean, with the schedule coming out, I just after a quick look at it, I mean, I don't see anything short of 17-0 with a Super Bowl win. No, I'm
Dude, if it's not 17-0, it's like why are we
yeah,
doing the podcast?
it is unbelievable just the sheer time it is to be a South Florida sports fan. I mean, this is don't discount that this fans. I've been a fan my whole life, 25 years, and it's a special time, and I hope the Dolphins just continue the good luck, the good fortune of all the teams, and take advantage of the opportunities that we're given with this schedule, and just make it work. I mean, there's some great chances here to just make this season special.
Yeah, man, and we're gonna get into the schedule here, but I kind of sat there, and we're gonna obviously like talk about certain matchups, and I guess because the Dolphins for so long, and again, you know it. I don't know how long you've been a fan, but like obviously you live out there, and I've been a fan. I've never lived out in Miami, but I've been a Dolphins fan for 20 years, and I think I have to like condition my mind to understand like that we have a good team and that we are extremely talented, and that because like I'm sitting here looking at the schedule, and like I'm constantly having to tell myself like, wait, no, like this may be a good team, but like we are also really good. And it's not that, I think the Bengals last year, it was they kept saying like they have to play us. It's not that we have to play them. And that's like a
Totally.
mindset that I'm having to condition myself. And I encourage a bunch of Dolphins fans, like you have a really good football team in the Miami Dolphins. I mean, arguably aside from the Eagles, the most talented roster on football. And so, we'll get into it with some of these matchups, but there's a lot of them where I'm like, yeah, it's a hard game, but I mean, like we're a good team, and if you want to be the teams that get to the Super Bowls and get to the AFC championships, those are the games you want to
Hmm.
test yourself, to be battle tested for when you get into the playoffs. So I'm looking forward to breaking down the schedule for sure.
Yeah, and honestly, like from the heart for a minute here, like always been told like this is a football town, and I 100% agree with it. Like this is a football first city. Recently with the success of the Heat within the last like 10, 20 years almost at this point, like it's become sort of a basketball town. But like if the Dolphins get going, like you'll see it. This city will just become engulfed by the Dolphins. Like it'll be Dolphins all the time. Um, and it'll be awesome to see. And I just hope like the excitement just continues going. And yeah, I mean, why else would you be a fan, play sports in general if it's not to test yourself against the best teams? Like you want to be in the big moments. You want to play the best teams, and you want to take advantage of those moments and be the best team that you can be.
But with that, now we gotta strap on the big boy pants, and we got to get to work, because again, we're going to get into it right now. But the Dolphins 2023 schedule, man, it is it's no slouch. It is. I mean, we're facing again the every year you face one division. You obviously face your own division, but you face a division in your conference, which this year it's the AFC West, and then we have to face a division in the NFC, which is the NFC North. So like I said this earlier to you, and we were both chatting about it. Like if you're in those three divisions, AFC West, NFC North, AFC East, and you're having to face each other, like it's a gauntlet no matter what, because I can only look at maybe one team in each division where I go, okay, clearly they're the weakest link, but they're not like a bad team. I wouldn't say, it's like the Houston Texans or anything like that. Like, this is going to be a tough schedule, I think, for every single team in those three conferences. And starting with the Miami Dolphins, obviously, because that's what we're here to talk about.
Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. We do start the season at home versus Atlanta in the preseason. Come on. No,
Dude,
just kidding here. But
why do we play the Falcons and the Jaguars every year? I'm like, y'all, can we? I mean, I'm fine with the Jaguars because it's basically, I'm not exactly sure how far it is, but I know, again, it's understanding 5-year-old geography. Like, I know it's closer, so it's kind of like a home game, even if it's not in Miami. It's not like we're traveling to New England or anything. But bro, I feel like every single year it's the Falcons and the Jaguars, and then it's like substitute some random team. Last year it was the Eagles. I feel like every single year it's that. I'm like, yo, I need.
I wonder what I imagine they'll do joint practices with someone. It won't be like, I remember last year when we had the Eagles for joint practice. It was like, it was such a buzz, and like it was like the Dolphins are playing the Eagles. Like, it's awesome. And then just based off the preseason, like I gotta imagine if we do a joint practice with the Falcons, Jags, or Texans, it'll be us getting the better of the other team.
Well, here's the thing, like because I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people just kind of like throw out the preseason, and I understand, like, it's not for an actual record or anything, but the joint practices were actually started by Bill Belichick. He was kind of like the one who pioneered that in the NFL of making that kind of like a standard. The joint practices are really good because, like we talked about, you can actually, I'm like 90% sure, again, don't quote me on this, but I'm like 90% sure you as teams decide who you play in joint practices, because you like communicate with other head coaches like, hey, we're about to play you guys. Do we want to do joint practice, stuff like that? So you can coordinate like those joint practices with other teams. And I'm hoping that we are going to be doing joint practices with all of these teams, and with the Falcons and the Jaguars, especially because the Falcons last year had the best rushing attack in football, I think. Is either them or they were up there, like top 2 or top 3.
It's going to be good again. It's definitely going to be good again.
And again, they got Bijan, they got Matt Bergeron, who I was a huge fan of. So that's going to be a real good test for this defense and with the run game. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars, obviously,
they're a good team.
They're a good team. They went last year. They beat the choke artist Chargers in the playoffs, and then they're getting Calvin Ridley back. Trevor Lawrence in year 3, I think, is just going to take another big leap forward. They have a good defense. They're big all over. They're not going to get overpowered. So I really look at it, and again, I'm joking about the diversity of who we play in the preseason, because it always feels like the same teams. But I really think that, especially with the Falcons and the Jaguars, those are two matchups that I would like. Would you be shocked if we're sitting here and, again, we get into the playoffs? I wouldn't be shocked if the Jags win their division, and that, if we don't win our division, maybe they're the first team we play in the postseason. I wouldn't be shocked at all if that happened.
I can tell you right now, like I'm coming around here, going to start like just breaking down NFL team by team. Like, for me personally, I'll be honest, for like betting purposes, like I just like to do that. But I know the Jags, like I'd be shocked if they didn't win that division. Like, I think the Titans are in full tank mode. I don't have any expectations for the Texans being outside of a top 5 pick. And then the last team in the division, the Colts. I'd be shocked if they were anything. It's a Jags division to lose. I do think, and just basically speaking, like their schedule is very favorable. Like they could very easily be the 2 seed. I don't want to say 1 because you can't count anyone besides the Chiefs until proven otherwise as a 1. But yeah, I think they could be the 2 seed. Just based off how weak their division is. They're a fantastic football team.
They're put together really well, man. I mean, you look at their roster, and it's like there's not many areas where they're just like an overall, like it's not, you don't look at any specific area and you're like, man, superstar necessarily like the Dolphins, but you look at their team and you're like, I don't necessarily see, it's just like good or really good all around, like in every single category.
And the thing with them is 2 years ago, like hiring Urban Meyer was an all-time just the worst decision ever. If they had a real coach, like who knows where they would be. Like the development for all those players was
Who
severely
knows where
hindered
Trevor
in
Lawrence
one
would
year.
be, man?
Yep,
Who
exactly.
knows what? Who knows where he
Exactly.
would be? And
A
he's
lot of
already good.
a lot of people are just saying like this is his actual second year in the NFL.
Yeah,
Like just
no,
how
it
bad
is.
Urban was. And yeah, and but not to like just hover on them too much. But like you said, they did choke to the Chargers, and that is where we opened the season in SoFi Stadium. I do think what's interesting about that is like, do you even think that game's going to sell out? Like, it's going to be majority Dolphins fans, like every
Dude,
game there is. But
here's a like for some reason, and well, I shouldn't say for some reason. We all know the reasons because Tua and Herbert were taken back to
mhm.
back. But like, is it just me? The Chargers rivalry feels like it's like a division game. I don't know
We've
why.
played them like every year. It feels like just we've
Dude,
been such similar paths, like
we played them
third,
in
second.
2020.
Hmm.
We played them last year. Now we played them. I don't know if we played them. I don't think we played them in 2021. I remember we whooped that ass in 2020, and that was
I
when like
remember
Tua
playing
was
them in
first.
like 17, like 18, like when Rivers was still there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, oh yeah, especially then. But especially like just talking about when Herbert and Tua have been
Hmm.
drafted. Like I don't know why. I think it's as I've gotten on Twitter and I've seen like the fan bases interact with each other. Like the Los Angeles Chargers game, it like for me, I'm jazzed for it. Like I would say, and this is going to sound a little crazy. I'm a little more like I want to kick their ass more than even I expect us to beat the Patriots like when we play them next week and we'll talk about but like the Chargers game week 1 like I am pumped for that and especially it's a 4:25 Eastern time game so it's one of the few games played during that time it's only going to be like 4 or 5 games played during that time maybe 6 so it's like it might even be televised for most people depending on where you live. And yeah, I expect the Miami Dolphins to show up because again,
Hmm.
Chargers fans they don't have a lot in Los Angeles. So it's kind of they're joked about it, similar with the Jaguars. But dude, I'm like, and I'm happy that our first game, like, let's get the West Coast game out of the way because we face the AFC West, but obviously the Chiefs game being in Germany, which we'll get to. I'm not trying to jump ahead, but then the Denver Broncos and the Raiders we play at home. So like we literally do not play on the West Coast at all this year. We
Yep.
play at Los Angeles, and so I'm happy we can just kind of get that one out of the way at full strength, both teams. And again, I don't know about you, but like that feels it's giving me like
It's a
division
big game vibe.
rivalry energy.
It is. And yeah, my two like beefs with it are just that we gotta wait an extra 3 hours for the Dolphins NFL season to start. Like,
Right.
like it just sucks that we gotta like wait till 4 o'clock to actually watch some Dolphins football. But I'm sure I mean I'm gonna be so engulfed with the other teams at that time I won't care. But and
Yeah.
then just the travel I think is personally brutal. Like I
Yeah.
mean it's so different nowadays compared to like 10 years ago. Like planes are just so different now and the recovery and everything. But to go to SoFi and then to go all the way week 2 in New England and then come back here, like that's a lot of travel for anyone. That's to me a bit of a downer about it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's a big game vibe week 1, and I'm glad it is going to be not center of attention. I don't know what the other games are at 4 o'clock, but I can't imagine there's going to be a better game than that. I mean,
Oh no, we're starting off again, like I talked about the Jaguars in preseason. I mean, two teams that I would think a lot of people assume would make it to the playoffs, and so it's
mhm.
like I mean, we're getting first week right off the bat playoff caliber game of team, at least talent wise, on
and
both
and I
sides.
and I do know this. The line opened, I believe, Dolphins +3 at most places, and then it just got like. And I don't know who these people are who are just betting it this early. Like you're
Yeah, I
crazy for
don't,
betting it
dude.
this
That's
early, but it got
right.
it got bet down to a pick 'em. Like, but yeah,
Uh,
it's crazy. There's action on a game almost. What is
yeah,
it? It's like
I don't know how that happens,
4 months away. Yeah,
dude.
but
Yeah, I'm like that game is that game's literally September 10th. That's 4 months ago, dude. What was 4 months ago? 4 months ago was we weren't even. It was like we didn't even have Vic
in
Fangio.
January
Like
we're
the
having a
season
new
wasn't
year.
over. Yeah, dude. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
I don't know, man. It's crazy. Like there's so many. But anyway, yeah, Los Angeles Chargers, dude. I'm pumped for that game. I think it's a really good tone setter for the beginning of the season. Especially again, and I know you're saying travel west, but like, I think that the time difference is the main thing, not necessarily the travel. I think it's the time difference that more so is like, you're playing at 1 o'clock, but it
Mhm.
really feels like an afternoon game for you. Um, I think that's probably more so the deal rather than the flying, but having it as your first game of the season, you can prepare for it more because
Exactly.
again, for people who aren't like familiar, like these coaches, they are 100% week one. That is what
Mhm.
the focus is. That is what our main focus is, and you get more time to prepare for it because the Jacksonville game is August 26th. That's Saturday. They have a full 2 weeks before the Chargers game. So they have a full 2 weeks. I wouldn't be shocked to see them go out maybe a little early.
Mhm.
But again, they have a full 2 weeks. It's like a bye week. They have a full 2 weeks to prepare for it. And so, yeah, week one, I'm excited for that one. All right, week two, what do we got?
Yeah, then so basically from what I'm hearing though from you, we're penciling down 1-0, correct?
Los Angeles again. We'll talk about. I'll give like a prediction at
Schedule,
the
yeah.
end
All right, all right.
because I'm not a huge I'm not a huge believer in
Who
the
knows? It's so far out, it
prediction
doesn't
and
even
the strength
matter.
of schedule because at the end of the day, like I have no idea what's going on with
Exactly.
injury or what's going on. Like with the Dolphins, it's like, dude, like I don't. Uh, we're focusing on Tua. It's like if Tua is
So many
healthy,
unknowns at this
I
point.
could, right, I could see a lot of wins on the schedule. But like last year, our schedule wasn't that hard last year. Before
Mhm.
the season, like we didn't really have a crazy strength of schedule, but most of our
Yeah, and then
time,
I
like
believe it ended up being like the hardest, right? Or
right,
right up
right,
there.
right. And then again, with Tua being out, you're playing a lot of your games with Skylar Thompson and Teddy Bridgewater. That's automatically going to increase the level of difficulty.
Yeah.
So, like, it's different. I don't really get into that, but I'll give an overall, like, what I expect record wise, not necessarily game by game.
Mhm. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, so then week 2, yeah, I believe, I do the Patriots play home week 1, or is this I believe they're coining this the Brady, celebration, the jersey retirement, everything.
Yeah, the
It's gonna be
Patriots
week
the
2?
Patriots play the Patriots play at home the first 2 weeks. They play the
Okay.
Eagles, which again, that's going to be
That's gonna be good, yeah.
they're gonna that's going to be a demolition if I've
Yeah,
ever seen.
I
I
don't
mean,
have
dude, the
high
Eagles are
expectations for the
stacked. But
Patriots.
yeah, so the Patriots are playing the Eagles and the Dolphins, arguably the two most talented rosters in football, back to back weeks. But they are at home. But this game's Sunday night, man. Sunday night football already,
Awesome,
week two.
awesome. And Sunday night has now become like the premier game. I feel like over
It
Monday
is.
night. Like it used to be Monday night, but now it's Sunday night. I feel like is by far the premier like game that everyone is tuning into and has the best matchup. And yeah, and that's going to be just a rocking crowd. It does stink to be on the road week 2, but then just yeah, and the Patriots. I mean, like we're two teams going in opposite directions. It feels like
Yeah.
there's so many unknowns with the Patriots, but look, what they accomplished is beyond
Oh
impressive.
yeah.
It's
It's
yeah,
yeah, it's nothing against like anything they've done. It's just again, I will say I think the Patriots are going to be a little better than people think. I would not be shocked if the Patriots and the Jets are around the same. I know that may sound like a hot take, but like I think that just getting a guy in there, we talked about Urban Meyer with the
yeah,
Jags,
yeah, yes.
as a Dolphin fan, even though we hate the Patriots, like I can't sit here and say, well, you gave Tua crap and you gave him George Godsey and Eric Studsville and then laugh at Mac Jones when you gave him, like, at least with the Dolphins, you gave him
He was
offensive
at least an
guys.
offensive coordinator.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So it's like with Mac Jones, I don't think Mac Jones is a bad quarterback. I don't think he's like baby goat like people crowned him. But like I think he is going to be better with Bill O'Brien.
At
Their
least an
defense,
offensive coordinator.
right, right. Their defense has always been like good because that's what Bill Belichick's specialty is. So like I don't expect it to be an easy game, and I don't expect the Patriots to like suck this year at all. I don't think they're going to be like amazing. I expect the Dolphins to win it, just because we've kind of owned them, and again, our rosters, it's not even kind of close in my
No.
opinion. So like that's another game where it's like, yeah, let's start it early because this is my goal. I want the Patriots to lose week one against the Eagles, and then week two, I want us to come in when they're recognizing. I think they're recognizing Brady on that game. Sunday Night Football, and I just want us to go in and just put the hammer on them like we did Week 1 last year. And then it's just like, there we go,
That'd be awesome.
2-0. Patriots are 0-2, and we set the stage Sunday Night Football in front of everyone. Because, yeah, Sunday Night Football that's like the game everyone watches. Then Monday night is like, I feel like Monday Night Football is kind of like I'll watch it
Like
if it's a
dessert.
great matchup. And then like Thursday Night Football is like, if my team's not playing it, like, I'll just catch the highlights on Twitter. Like that's
Exactly.
how I am. Yeah.
And and then so me personally, like I said, I've been a Dolphins fan my whole life. Like my dad and grandfather before like had season tickets always. So I'm at every home game, barring like I'm out of town or whatever, but I'll be at every home game pretty much.
Lucky.
Yeah, it's awesome. Hey, if anyone wants to come tailgate, not sure where we'll be at, but I'll definitely update everyone. Come by. We always got a pretty killer tailgate going on. But yeah, that's it stinks to have it week 3 kickoff, but hopefully there's just a big energy, big buzz coming in. Expectations will be high. Week 3 against the Broncos, who I don't know. I
don't know what to expect.
They're a weird team. Yeah, they're a weird team. Like their defense was lights out last year, but they had one of like the worst offenses in NFL history that you got to figure is improved because now they have like a seasoned coach in. But I mean, I don't know if Russell Wilson's fixable. But yeah, it's going to be great. The Heat, just to get the season started against the Broncos, that's going to be awesome. I expect the place to just be absolutely rocking at that time.
I mean, if this game were in Denver, I'd be a little more worried. Mm-hmm. But again, 4 of our next 6 games all at home. This is a great way for you. And this has normally been this is the area of the schedule. If I'm looking at it as a Dolphin fan, where I go, yeah, I could see us beating 3 out of the next 4 teams. However, this is normally the time where we deal with a Tua injury, and I hope that he doesn't. But you know what I'm saying? It's like we dealt with it last year. We dealt with it the year before that. Obviously, the year before that, he was a rookie. But, like, I have no idea. Like, the Denver Broncos, do I think we could beat the Denver Broncos at home? 100%. Do I think that if something were to happen, not even just a Tua, but, like, again, with injuries, that the Denver Broncos with Sean Payton now, they got a good defense, could beat us? 100%. But, like, we have a good stretch now of out of the next 6 games, 4 of them are at home, to where I look at it and I say, hey, if you can go 4-2 right there, if you could just win your home games, and let's just say you even tie at the very beginning, your first 8 games, is that 8 games? Yeah, your first 8 games, you go 5-3. It's like, okay, that's a good start to your season, especially considering that it gets easier as you go along and you have more home games. So yeah, Denver Broncos, I'm not sure what to expect. What I can tell you as a born and raised Italian, if you don't think Vic Fangio is going to do everything he can to embarrass his former team, like, the Italian pride is going to be at full. You might as well, if you're a Dolphin fan, you might as well bring the Italian flags and just be waving the red, the red, white, and green at the stadium the whole entire game, because Vic Fangio is going to try to embarrass his former team at home. I can promise you that. And so, again, that's another game where it's like, doesn't seem like a big deal, but I mean, I think that's another good matchup for a home opener. It's like Vic Fangio against his former team, 2 good defenses, a much better offense, but an offense with the Broncos that should be a lot better. That's another good matchup that we're not even, I think, at least.
Yeah, and then I think that this block of like the first 4 games here, like, not defines the season, but if we come out of that, like, even just 500, like, between the first 4 games, like, I'd feel pretty good, because it does get a lot easier after that. Like, and then I think most Dolphins fans, like, even the most delusional of fans who just, they win every game, those type of people, like, they got to think that first game 4 going to Buffalo, you got to think, if there's not a loss yet, that would be the one where everyone would think that'd be the first.
Well, I'm expecting, again, I'm a firm believer in, like, you as a Dolphin fan, like, you got to be realistic, but you also can, like, be optimistic. There's a difference. Like, you be realistic and optimistic at the same time. the Buffalo Bills, until proven otherwise, they are the top of our division. I don't care. I am not saying that I don't think that the Dolphins can beat them at Buffalo. I'm not saying that I don't think we can win the division, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, at Buffalo, win. Like this isn't the Patriots. This isn't, the Carolina Panthers. Like, this is the Buffalo Bills. They are a good team. And I think normally with good teams, the best thing to do is I saw enough last year with and without Tua to where I can say, I'm just going to split the series. I'm going to give them their game. I'm going to give us our game at home. And so, you said if you can come out of those first 4 games 500, I would say let's try to come out of those first 4 games. I mean, if you could come out, yes, if you could come out of those games 500, that wouldn't be the worst thing, because I think you got 2 games after you should win, which would put you at 4-2. But I mean, raise your hand if you expected the Dolphins to go 3-0 last season at the beginning. I didn't, if I'm being honest. I expected us to beat the Patriots, and I expected us to lose against the Ravens, because we traditionally do. And it looked like we were, if Tua didn't have the best game of his career. And against the Bills, that's another thing. Let's get into that real quick. The Bills complained so much about playing in Miami. Do you know when our first home division game is not until 2 days before Halloween? Like,
really?
That to me, like, it's our first home division game is October 29th against the Patriots. And like, I'm having to calm myself down when I talk about it, because like, I think it's a little ridiculous that like this is an advantage for us. And especially like as a Dolphin fan, or as if you're a Cowboys fan or Dolphin fan, like, we have to play in the North all season long. And like in the playoffs, we have to play in cold weather. Like, this is literally our only advantage. Whoever did the schedules or whoever did the divisions was smoking something, because why in the name of God the Dallas Cowboys and the Dolphins are in the same division as the Eagles, the Giants, the Patriots? Like, it makes zero sense. And so, I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, we don't have to play the Bills in December, and we don't have to play the Jets in December in New York. But it's also like, okay, but if we want to get to the playoffs, unless we're a home playoff team and we clinch home field advantage, we have to play in the cold, and that's a disadvantage for us. And so like, I'm one of those people who, again, call me a homer, but this is the only time where we get a competitive advantage, because you stuck us in a division with teams that are, again, the closest team not named Miami in the AFC East. They're all within an hour to an hour and a half flight from each other. Miami to New England is over 3 hours. So it's like, you stuck us in a division with all these Northeast teams, and now you're not even going to give us an advantage early on in the season of the heat. It's a little ridiculous to me, but whatever.
When when we remodeled the stadium, I'm not sure the exact year, but when we put like the roof over it, like they literally made it so that the other team would be in the sun the entire game, and the home sideline would be shaded. Like, they very well, like, everyone who is planning that knows that the one distinct advantage that the Dolphins have is the heat. It's a known factor. I don't know like how they go into deciding the schedule here, but yeah, it would have been nice to get at least a division game at home early to start.
Okay, but with that, let's talk about last year. You can say whatever you want about the Patriots. How many complaints did you hear about the Patriots coming out with heat? None whatsoever. We whooped that ass. We were the better team, and we won. The Buffalo Bills, we didn't complain when we went up to Buffalo and it was freezing, it's snowing, people are making fun of Tua because they don't think he can throw, and we lose by a last-second field goal. We don't go, well, you know what? It's like 50 degrees colder here than where we live. No, like, you were the better team. Josh Allen, you had the game right there on a 4th and goal, and you decided to skip the ball to your wide receiver who was wide open. You lost because of that. And you can blame it on heat, but there's tons of other teams that play in the heat. Like, I don't care what you say. The Patriots played in the heat week 1. They didn't complain about it. They lost because they were the worst team that day.
I 100% agree with you. Like, the extenuating factors, like, when people, complain about like refereeing and something, like, yeah, that didn't benefit to you winning, but the better team usually wins in the long run. Like, it's not going to happen every time. Like, there's going to be some stuff where sometimes, you you get an unlucky bounce, whatever, something happens, the refs make a bad call. But like in the long run, like if you're the better team, you're going to win the game. Like
Right.
that's just how it is. It doesn't matter if it's hot, it's cold, whatever. Like, but it's nice to see. I always do enjoy when teams like Buffalo, or I'm sure the Broncos like will be complaining about the heat, like to
Wait,
come down and just melt. It's awesome to watch the cramping and everything. like
Chase,
like they've never been the same.
how come they weren't complaining when they were whooping us? How come they weren't
Yeah,
complaining about the
yes.
Heat then? That's
Yeah,
weird how
right.
that works. How it's a problem as soon as you start losing, but when you're
Mhm.
embarrassing us like 35-0 in our home stadium, it's completely fine. The Heat's not an issue then, but as soon as we're a better team and we actually have an offense to
Yep.
complement our defense, suddenly now anyway, dude. I'll get on a rant. You have no idea. Anyway,
But then
let's
yeah,
go
then
on.
so then we got to cut you off, to stop you from just losing your mind there. But then we got the Giants and Panthers, two very winnable games. Very winnable games at
Two
home.
very winnable games at home. At
Yep.
home, huge
You're
right there.
honestly not must wins or anything like that. Like who knows what's going to be happening. But those are games definitely, like when you look at the schedule, you expect to win those games, and it'd be pretty disappointing to not win both of those. And then to go to Philly Sunday night again. It's so
Sunday
awesome
night.
to
That's the
be
best game to
relevant.
me. One of the best games of the season, in my opinion. Not Dolphins. I'm saying like literally. I think this right here, the two most talented rosters on football on Sunday night football. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's going to be a awesome game. It's just going to be great. I mean, like I'd love to see. Finally, we're getting some respect. It's so funny. Like when the Broncos signed Russell Wilson, everyone remembers they got like people were complaining by the second week of the season. It's like we still have like five more primetime Broncos games.
Right, right.
Like just the way the NFL like schedules, it's so ridiculous sometimes. Like they just it's a major market thing. Like they don't care about the teams. They just care about like what teams have our major markets, like mainly the Boston's, the New York's, the
Right.
Denver's, the LA's. Like they think that that's going to what's drive ratings. Like no, people want to watch good football. Like everyone has every form of television now. Like you can stream, you can do whatever. Like people are going to watch the games that are good. There's a reason the Thursday night games are dying. It's because they're horrible matchups on short weeks, like that no one cares about and no one wants to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah, it's I mean, again, it's a Thursday night game. It's like people are preparing for their own teams or thinking about that. They still have work the next day, which,
Mhm.
again, yeah, I understand on Sunday night, but at least you're rested up. Some of these games, I mean, depending on where you live, I mean, I don't know about you, but like Thursday night football for me normally starts around like 7, but like I know that like I'm about to move to Arizona and my family lives there, and like it starts there like 5:30. So it's like if you
Just
live
getting
on the
off
West,
work.
yeah, it's like, dude, if you live on, like, you're not watching that. You're going home. You got real things to do. You gotta go get dinner, or you gotta cook dinner. I don't know if you have kids, but like you're trying, like there's so much stuff you got to do, to where Thursday night football, it's like that's
The
not the
last thing on your
priority.
mind,
Yeah,
especially
but
when it's like Colts, Texans in the middle of
right,
the year.
right. Like
Both
in
teams
years
have two
past, it's like
wins.
right, it's like Jaguars Browns, and you're like, yeah, I'm good, thanks though.
Yeah, no, thank you.
But no, with the Philadelphia Eagles game, and not even the Philadelphia Eagles, but you're talking about how the Dolphins have been on prime time more. This, and I tweeted this, and this is going to be a really important season as far as who are the Miami Dolphins going to be from here on out? Because we talked about the Heat and how they have set the standard of like we expect to be relevant every year. Okay,
Mhm.
this is the season that in the past the Dolphins have fumbled on, because we've seen it before. This is no shock to where like all of a sudden the Dolphins get more primetime games. Now, the Dolphins between 2006, when they were bought, when Sunday Night Football was bought by NBC, and 2021, they had 3 Sunday Night Football appearances in total.
That's
We had 2
crazy.
last year and 2 this year. That's 4
That's
in 2
insane.
years. Okay, but this is the season that the Dolphins have typically fumbled on in the past. They'll do really well in 2016, that with Adam Gase, and then all of a sudden they get put in the spotlight and they suck. They get London games, they get Sunday Night Football games, and they stink it up, and they get their butts whooped every single time. These are the games to where again, am I saying that every single time you're on Sunday Night Football, you need to win? No. Do you need to win every single time you're on Monday Night Football? No. But we've seen it in the past where we play the Ravens or we play the Saints and we get it's a shutout. Like we don't even score points. And so what you need to do if you're the Dolphins is not only hopefully play well and win those games on Sunday Night Football and when you play in Germany, but you need to be competitive. Like,
Yep.
again,
100%.
not everyone watching this game is going to be an Eagles fan or a Dolphins fan. Some people just want to watch good football. I'm one of those where my fiance will tell you, like, she's like, hey, you want to let's maybe do something. And I'm like, no, Sunday Night Football's on. You know what I mean? Like, I'll watch Sunday Night Football just if it's a good game because I enjoy football. I love it. And so, like, you want to make people entertained. And I can promise you, I expect the Dolphins and Eagles to be great football teams this year. And when you have two Goliaths with arguably the two best rosters in football, you better show up and make it a good football game. So I think that one right there, I think that game is the game in the season where I look at it and I say that's going to be the defining moment. Can you come out and can you entertain the country on Sunday Night Football for what I think is arguably one of the best games in the season? That to me is going to be the standard.
We need you in the locker room. You got me fired up for that game already,
dude. It is. I'm telling you, and again, things change over the years. But like last year, I mean, there were Eagles players saying during the playoff run, we thought the Dolphins were going to the Super Bowl because like they were kicking our butts in practice, like we were lost out there, and they had their starters. So like, to everyone that's like, yeah, we're going to get destroyed by the Eagles. The Eagles are a lot of power. We are a lot of speed.
Brutal place to play also.
Brutal place to play. I expect the Eagles to win it. I'm not saying that I don't think that the Eagles will win, but I think that it should be a good matchup, and I'm expecting it to. And again, you want to know how your team gets recognized more. You want to know how Tua
that's a great measuring
on
test.
As much. You go against the best teams, and you show up and you show out. And even if you don't win, again, raise your hand if you weren't impressed by what we did in Buffalo last year. I was. Mm-hmm. I know we didn't win, but that was my favorite game of Tua's last year. I was like, oh, Tua went into the snow in Buffalo and we lost by a last second field goal, which things could have easily gone that way to where we won. Just like when we played Buffalo at home, things could have gone to where they won. That's when I was like, oh, I'm a believer that this team can beat the Bills and Tua can play in cold weather. So again, not to talk about too much more, but that Eagles game to me, Sunday, October 20th, it just sounds like a football day. Sunday, October 22nd, Sunday Night Football. Yeah. I'm pumped for it.
That's a game definitely where I feel like we'll find out what this team is. Like at that point in the season, we've shaken off the rust. We're going to be tested by a few decent teams at that point. We're going to know what we are. We're going to know if we're contenders or if we're going to start looking towards the future here. But,
don't go to the game though, because I lived in South Jersey. A lot of my family are Eagles fans. Eagles fans are literally the worst. I'm not saying as a whole, because we have Dolphin fans that are pretty bad too. Eagles fans on the whole are literally the worst fans. I mean, they threw snowballs with rocks in them at Santa Claus at one point. They are the worst fans. They are ruthless. Kyle Shanahan the other day literally talked about how him and his wife is literally not coming to the game this year because of how bad they were last year to her. Yeah. And we've seen that. Don't go to that game. But
if you go, don't wear a Dolphins jersey,
dude. If you go, put the Eagles jersey on, and whenever the Dolphins score a touchdown, just give a little fist pump, dude. Yeah. It takes a brave man or woman to walk into Lincoln Field with a Dolphins jersey on, or the opposite team's jersey.
Braver than me. But yeah, then next we got Patriots at home. And then basically, right? And then so here's what I liked before we'll touch on the Germany Chiefs game. I really, really respect that we were smart enough to take the bye here. Because I remember I forget
what year was that when we did it.
Yeah, it's it's the stupidest thing ever. It's such a brutal travel. And then there's some stat where when teams come back from playing in Europe, they do horrible. The next game, you got to take the bye. Just take the bye. The perfect spot to take it. So I'm very glad we did that. from an organizational standpoint. Seems like we're finally
Learned.
competent. Yeah. But
Right.
that game's gonna be awesome. Just the European fans, like the one thing like that I dislike about like American sports, like as a whole, like just the fans in Europe are so much more like awesome. Like the atmospheres there
Yeah.
are so cool. Like the chants, everything. Like that place is going to be awesome. And the Dolphins were actually the first team, one of the first. Well, they played, I believe it was the Giants. I'm not sure the exact year in London. So there's a big like just international fan
We have a
base.
following out there.
Yeah, and it's going to be a crazy crowd. Like I remember last year it was the I think it was the Giants Packers, and the fans were chanting like "shove the cheese up your ass." That was awesome. That was so funny. Like there's going to be so many cool moments. Like, and that's again another great test of to see where we are as a team. Like assuming barring no anomalies, God forbid that someone gets hurt, something like that.
Right.
Those between the Eagles and the Chiefs, like those are the Super Bowl teams. They're still going to be contenders this year. Like
within 3 weeks of each other.
We're going to know what we are. We're going to know what we are. That block of time there.
So with the game, like again, like I said earlier, I think people get misconstrued on like the issue with traveling is not necessarily the flight, because I can promise y'all, like they're flying nice. Okay, this isn't like you're flying with like limited leg room. Like they're flying, they have taken care of like with food, Wi-Fi, like anything really they need. Like their travel is going to be fine. They're not having to sit at the airport in security line for 2 hours. Like it's not that. It's the fact that, and I looked this up because Sunday, November 5th, mark it on your calendar, folks, that is the day that daylight savings times ends. So it is going to be a 7-hour difference. Was it 7 or 6? Oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed. I looked. It was 7 or 6 hour difference.
I believe it's 7 because I know that there's another time zone from England to at least one extra.
So it's 7. So that game is going to be 7 hours ahead. So like, and even first of all, that right there alone, 7 hours of a difference, that's what sucks. But it's so like when you travel, I'm really big into like sleep and your brain's circadian rhythm. It takes about 1 day per hour of a time change to acclimate. So in order for you to acclimate to a 7-day time change or 7-hour time change, it's going to take your body about a week. Now you could probably speed up a little and it takes like 5 days. So the earlier they travel out to Germany, the better for that game. But like that's what's going to be hard about the game, and then not necessarily coming back because they have the bye week. Number 2, that's a literally perfect bye week. Now we have 18 weeks in the season, which means 17 games. So it's not even anymore. But you play 9 games, bye week, you play 8 games. So it's literally as even
I didn't even realize
as it's as even as it can come of a bye week. So like super happy about that. Again, we talked a little bit before about the podcast, how I was going to try to give like an optimistic take about what it could have been. This game right here, again, like, yes, it's in Germany, but again, look at where it is based in the schedule. About you just played the Giants, the Panthers, and the Patriots all at home. So you just did 3 out of 4 weeks at home. And yes, you travel to Germany, but at least you have a bye week after, and it's not like after 12 weeks in the season, or worse, it's not too early in the season to where now you're having to play like, 12, 15 weeks straight, or not 15, but you know what I mean? Like 12, 13 weeks straight. The other thing, I'm very jealous of Germany because like, are you put the Kansas City Chiefs and the Dolphins, like, bro, this game is at 9:30 Eastern time. If you're on the West Coast, that game's going to be at 6:30. Ain't no one waking up at 6. I'll wake up and check the score. Now, not me. I will be up. I will set the alarm for. Oh my God, dude! I'm going to be in Arizona. That game's going to be like at 6:30. But I'm going to wake up. I'm going to watch it, and I think that it says a lot to the NFL, or it says a lot. A couple things. Number one, that they're putting these quality games in Europe, because again, how many times have we seen it in the past where, no disrespect to the Dolphins, but it's the Dolphins versus the Saints, and it's 2018, the Dolphins aren't doing well, or they have Joe Philbin, and it's like, yeah, it's the Dolphins and the Jaguars. It's like no one really cares that much about these teams. No, you're putting the Super Bowl champs, the best team that the NFL has seen in the last 5, 6 years. Like they are the premier team in the NFL. And then you have the Dolphins, who have one of the best rosters. These are the two most exciting offenses in football. And now you're putting them in Germany for everyone to know, like, this is the quality that we're putting now in these Europe games. And on top of that, I think that the Dolphins should be a little proud that, like, that the NFL views them that way, like it's an honor to go out and play. I know we hate it because of the time zone and what it means
Lack
for
of
our
a home
team.
game.
Right. But at the same time, it's like this game's going to be hard no matter where it's played. It's the Chiefs. I think if anything, it's actually an advantage that we don't have to play
I
them because
agree. I agree.
Arrowhead, I think, arguably the best home field advantage in the NFL. But I think that the Dolphins should be honored that, like, yeah, you're putting us against the Super Bowl champs, and like you think that we're good enough to where it's going to be a really exciting game, and you feel honored that we can represent you in Germany. Again, I think there's a lot of positive ways to look at it, but nonetheless, you're playing the Chiefs and you're having to go to Germany. So I don't know. That's one of those games where it's like that should be something, it feels like to me. Or at least like Monday night, but for some reason, again, it's going to be at 6:30 a.m. my time. So yeah, not super stoked about that, but I mean, damn, what a matchup!
Yeah, it's a great game, and then a nice bye week. Yeah, like we
Nice
said,
play. Yeah.
and then Raiders home following that. I don't know.
Look
I
at this
don't think
last schedule, dude. Look at this last schedule of how many home games.
that's the key part. Yeah, I was about to say, like, it is nice to round up the season there with all these home games. It's a big advantage, honestly. Like we're gonna pay for it in the beginning of the year, but then the back half like loaded between. So I'll just rip through them here real quick. We got the Raiders, and then we got the Jets away Friday.
Black Friday.
And then away at the in Washington, Commanders, who just sold. So maybe
congrats to them.
Yeah,
Good
congrats
for them,
to all those fans.
Thank you. Yeah, congrats to them. I'm happy for them because they finally don't have Dan Snyder.
Yeah, and then got Titans home. Ryan Tannehill coming back to town, possibly if he's still on the team. That game is Monday, but I know the NFL they're now able to flex games starting week 12 out of Monday. So I don't anticipate that game's going to be Monday. I think the Titans are going to be pretty bad.
Right. I was about to say, I know right now it's shown as Monday Night Football, right? Because I'm on the schedule, it's shown as Monday Night Football. But yeah, like the Titans would have to be in the playoff mix.
I don't see that game being Monday.
Yeah, which is a shame because it's like I think the Dolphins will be, but who knows? They might just because it's Ryan Tannehill going against the Dolphins, and if they are, but yeah, I think what you're saying is like I wouldn't be shocked if it's flexed out of it.
And then we got the Jets home, Cowboys home. The rare 4:00 home game for the Dolphins versus the Cowboys.
Right. That was a little. I think it's obviously because it's Christmas. I was planning on going to that game because I'm a Dolphin fan. My brother and dad are Steelers fans, and my mom is a Cowboys fan. And so last year, the first Dolphin game I ever went to was last year. It was a Sunday Night Football game against the Steelers. Phenomenal, dude! Like it changed my perspective on like watching football and my appreciation for like football, not just on TV. But I was going to go to the Cowboys game, but it's Christmas Eve, and I'm not sure if I'm wanting to spend Christmas in Miami just because it'll be. I think I don't know if I'm wanting to, but my mom was like, "Yo, let's go to Miami for Christmas and watch the game." But that's a good game, Christmas Eve, Cowboys 4:25 at home. I thought that game should have been Sunday night.
Cowboys fans will be there a lot in droves. Like the one thing about like Miami sports just as a whole, it's like it's such a desirable destination to go to. Like there's so many away fans for just not just the Dolphins, but like every sport. Like so many away fans, and specifically the Cowboys have such a big fan base. That'll be a lot of Cowboys fans.
That'll be a good environment right there.
It's going to be great. It's always great. And Cowboys fans are very, very arrogant. for some reason.
No,
I can't
yeah.
tell you the last time they've had success, but
I
very
think
very good.
that game. I think the Dolphins are gonna. Again, we'll have to see with injury, but I think that with our defense, Dak Prescott turning the football over, I mark me down as Dolphins winning that game.
Yeah, and then we go to
That's a hard one
Baltimore.
at Baltimore. Oh God.
That's tough.
Oh, the
Definitely tough. New
Ravens,
Year's
dude.
Eve. New Year's Eve. So could be early New Year's Eve. Maybe disappointment.
Hey, at
Hopefully,
least we're
I
not
mean,
starting off the new year that way. It's not like the first day. You know what I mean?
that and not that it was a bad thing that we had the epic comeback in Baltimore last year, but they're gonna remember that. They're not.
Right.
They're not forgetting that. They're gonna be wanting some revenge. I definitely think.
But also, like, I mean, we
Could be a
beat them.
playoff style game too.
I was about to say, like, that's going to be. I didn't even think about this, but like, the Ravens are probably going to be fighting for their
100%.
division at that time. And if they're not, if the Bengals are in front, that could be one where we're both fighting for, the fifth or the sixth or the seventh seed. I mean, I've gotten past the point where I'm like, I just hate playing in Baltimore just because it's like PTSD of the playoff games and all the times where we just go there and it's like you might as well have just forfeited. There was no point in playing the game.
I feel like
But
they have
again,
our number always.
last year, not a good defense. Tua comes back from. I know there was like busted coverages and they have a better defense now with Roquan Smith and some of the additions they've made. But like again, I think like I said at the beginning, changing the mindset. Like that's a good game. It's not just like, oh, we're going to get destroyed. Like, no, I expect that to be a good game. We have a better defense. We'll see where we're at injury wise, but again, so many games on here. I'm like the Cowboys, the Ravens.
Yeah, it's a packed schedule. It feels
Dude,
like. I mean,
we
before
could have
the
had
season,
Sunday night football every other week. I feel like.
honestly, like looking at it now, like I feel like there's only like 3 or 4 games where I feel like, well, this team is gonna suck. Like this
Right,
team
like
is going to be out of it. Like they're not
right,
going to be
like
in
the
the mix.
Jets, like oh true, we got the Black Friday game. Never mind. I was gonna say I was like, no prime time for Aaron Rodgers. Like they don't want to watch us beat him. That's I don't know. It's weird to me. But the Black Friday,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
But
speaking of the Jets, I like the Jets. I feel like we could be sitting here at week 3 or 4, whatever, and be like, this is the Broncos last year, where it's like we have to watch like 5 more Jets primetime games. Like, are you kidding me?
dude, let me just read real quick the beginning of their schedule. Like this is before their bye week. The Bills, the Cowboys, the Patriots, which again, like that's like their rivalry nowadays. It's like Patriots, Jets, and it's the Dolphins, Bills. But Bills, Cowboys, Patriots, Chiefs, Broncos, Eagles, and it's at Denver. It's not at home. So like, dude, they could. I mean, they're realistic games on that schedule. I think they could win. It's like 2 of them, and it's like that. I just listed 6 games, so they could start off 2-4, 1-5.
And then Aaron Rodgers is going back to the darkness chamber.
Right, needs
Maybe
to go
not to
back to
return.
the yeah, no, dude. But no, anyway, the schedules are brutal. But speaking of a game we talked about that could be flexed, Week 18,
I
Buffalo,
definitely think so.
Miami.
I
Oh,
definitely think
dude,
so.
that could be
Hopefully
for all
for
the
the
marbles.
division.
That could be
Hopefully
for
for
all
the
the marbles
division.
right there.
Yeah, that'd be
100%.
awesome.
100% could be. And again, they won't have to complain about the heat. But here's the thing. Here's the positive to it. I like that they don't have the excuse anymore because
They'll
you could
find
say
one.
whatever you wanted. I didn't ever create excuses when they would beat us. Like I wasn't sitting here saying you beat us last year because it was snowing. I didn't. You beat us because you played a better game and it was a close football game and you won. So I'm not someone who likes to do the excuse game of like, oh, the weather or
There's no
refs.
point.
Refs is a real excuse because they literally control it. But like, no, I don't want the excuse. I want you at your best. I want us at our best, and I want us to go in an even field. Let's do it in a dome. And if you beat us, you beat us. And then I'm like, hats off. I'm not going to sit here. I'm not an arrogant Dolphins fan that's saying like we're way better than the Bills. No, the Bills are a great team. I want them at their best, and I want no excuses at all from either team.
I hope that comes down for the division. That place would be a madhouse at that time if it's for the division. But yeah, I mean, like it's a tough schedule in terms of just on paper right now. Like who knows what's going to happen before the season starts. But looking at it right now, like the quality of opponent, I feel like is it's up there. I mean, I think I saw like based off the last year's win percentage, it's the second hardest. And
Yeah,
that
aside from
means
the
nothing.
Eagles.
That means nothing. Yeah,
Right,
that means
right.
nothing at the moment. But like, I mean, we'll see, man. I mean, it's no cakewalk. We're gonna. It feels honestly like at least in recent memory. I may be a prisoner of the moment here, but one of the hardest schedules we've had in the past few years.
Oh yeah, and I think it's more so not even just the difficulty of schedule, but it's like the expectation to
I get,
where,
yeah,
you
yep,
know,
yep,
we
yep,
we
yep.
look at we look at previous years and we're like, yeah, it's a hard schedule, but also we suck. So it's like a lot of games are going to be hard for us. But it's like it's hard given that it's going to be that difficult, and we are a very talented team, and it's still going to be that difficult. But okay, so let me ask you. Let's just assume, because again, why would we assume, or why would we like to predict Tua getting injured or anything like that? Let's just assume for every team, let's just take roster to roster health wise, not game by game, but just what do you expect Dolphins prediction record wise? How far do we make it in the playoffs? Again, assuming that, you know, there's no major injuries on either team, not just for the Dolphins, and that it's just what the Dolphins could be if fully healthy with Vic Fangio versus the teams that we have. What do you expect from us this year?
So I would go. I'd say honestly, like I think the realistic expectation would be 11
Right.
wins. I want to say 12. Um, assuming like that's me being like, we get a bounce here too. 12, and
Right.
then
Right.
I say we finally win a playoff game. And then, dude, I mean, honestly, like last year when I was thinking about the season, like during it, like I remember being like, the only way to make it out of the AFC this year is to have an electric offense, because you're not going to be Patrick Mahomes defensively. Like you got
Right.
to
Right.
outscore him.
Right.
You're going to have to outscore him. So I like our chances. Like last year, I liked our chances to just be a team like in the conversation, like when it comes to making it out of the AFC, because I think we could hang with the Chiefs. And they're the team obviously
No,
to
I
go
do.
through at the moment. But yeah, I would
Yeah.
say one playoff win, 11 wins. 11 wins, final answer.
Yeah. It's kind of, I feel like you spend a lot of time around someone and you start thinking the same, because that's exactly. I had the Dolphins. I had them at 11 wins. Again, I don't know where that's going to come from.
Mhm.
But I sat there, and I sat there thinking, I was like, even though I'm not assuming two is going to get injured, like even if you would have,
Stuff happens.
even if you copy and paste what happened last year, like we're not going to have the 24th ranked defense in the NFL. You know what I mean? And so
Mhm.
like with Vic Fangio, even if it's top half, and that's a 10 position swing right there, even if it's top half of the NFL, like last year, if we had a better defense, we're going to beat the Vikings. We're going to beat the Patriots. And honestly, when Brock Purdy comes in there, we're good. Or even the Chargers. Like, do you remember the fourth and goal or third and goal play that Josh Boyer called against the Chargers? Like,
Yeah.
that's not going to happen. So, like, literally, Vic Fangio alone, I think, is a 1 to 2 game difference, just because the defense last year, like Josh Boyer just didn't know how to call defense. And I understand people say, well, the injuries, but the year before that, when he was calling plays, he also struggled severely with that.
And I think
Uh,
Mike McDaniel is going to be a better play caller. Like I think
oh,
he's only
for
going to evolve as a play
yeah,
caller.
like yeah, I've gotten in beefs with people about that. They're like, Mike McDaniel wasn't perfect in his first season. I'm like,
It's
yeah,
his
well,
first
no,
year ever called plays.
I'm like, dude, he's never called plays. He's
Yeah,
never been a head coach. And unlike the Dan Campbells who struggle at first, he actually built a good roster
I
and
thought he
knew
did a
what he was
fantastic job in
doing.
year one.
Right. And it's like, yes, he messed up like every head coach, but unfortunately, he did such a good job that those mistakes mattered because they were in must win games.
Mhm.
And also, I had someone who I'm good with, but like he was saying how like, look what Kyle Shanahan did with backup quarterbacks, and it's like, dude, he's been a coordinator since 2008, and he's been a head coach since 2017, and they have the best defense in the NFL. The Dolphins
Yep.
don't. They have a bottom 8 defense, and so I think that like I sat there and I was like, I don't really think 11-6 is crazy
I don't think
because
so.
last year was 9-8, given the roller coaster at quarterback, And then also we didn't have a good defense. And so like you give us a top half of the NFL defense, which I'm not even saying top five or anything, just top half. You give us this offense in year two, maybe some more additions to come. Mike McDaniel in his second year. And like, yeah, I think 11-6, I think that the Dolphins should win a playoff game. If I'm going like really bold prediction, I think that the Dolphins are playing the Jaguars in the first round, because I think that
That'd be
based
fun.
I think based off where they're seated, I think they'll be the fifth seed or the sixth seed, and they'll be playing the Jaguars, who are either the fourth or third seed based off of how many games they win, because they have an easy division. And so I think it's going to be Dolphins Jags. I think we win, and then unfortunately, I think we'll probably go to Arrowhead and play the Chiefs, who will be the first seed, and will lose there. But yeah, I know some people will be upset about that because they're like, it's Super Bowl or bust. Anything could happen. Anything could happen. Like once you get into the playoffs, it's a whole different animal. But like again, for me, I'm just looking at slow progress. And you made it to the playoffs last year. You need to win a playoff game, and once you do that, then we can go from there. But yeah, so I'm thinking 11-6, one playoff win.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of unforeseen stuff, but every team has stuff that's you can't predict injuries, anything. It just there's randomness. That's sports. Like there's so much randomness that we can't predict. We don't know what's going to happen. And the other teams have that too. So I mean, like we're going to catch some teams playing backup quarterbacks.
For sure,
may happen with us where we have to play backup quarterback. But the expectations are high. I mean, I don't know when the last time I probably said like we win 11 games, like maybe 1 year with Tannehill. Like I may have said that. But I mean, I think it's very realistic, like that it could happen and it should happen. I mean, and I'm not saying that we should settle for less, but yeah, but that's the bar. I would say the floor is playoffs. Like if we don't make the playoffs, this would be a very disappointing season.
Oh, 100%. I think, yeah, I think again that you set the standard every year. And last year, you set the standard that you're a playoff team. They're too damn good to not be a playoff team. They are, aside, if the Eagles weren't as crazy of a roster as they were, where like I don't think we've seen anything like it, the Dolphins would probably be the best roster in football, maybe them and like the 49ers, but like I really think it's the Dolphins. So like we're talking about a team that has an insanely good roster, and their quarterback last year when healthy was great. So it's like, that's your expectation. Like, welcome to the NFL. That's what it is. If you have a really good roster and you have a good quarterback, that's your expectation. You better get to the playoffs at least and win a game. So,
and we'll see. But I mean, like, there's only going to be like a handful of games, like 4 or 5 games where they're not favored in. Like,
it's like the Eagles, the Chiefs,
the Bills,
Chargers. Yeah, it might be like depending on where they're playing, because I could see us being favored at home against the Bills.
Yeah, it'll be close. It'll definitely be close. But yeah, I mean, like the expectations are high. I mean, we'll see. It's again, so much randomness is going to happen. Like,
right.
We could sit here right now in May and tell you what was going to happen in the NFL season. I'd be doing.
I'd be making a lot of money. Right.
Exactly.
Right.
But
and also we don't. Oh, sorry. What's up?
No. Go ahead. Finish up.
I was just going to say, like you were saying, like we don't even know who's going to be on the team. Like the rosters haven't been made. We're hearing. I know we wanted to talk about the Dalvin Cook. Like Dalvin Cook, I don't know how. Okay, yeah, I don't know how. I don't really know who the guy is or like how real it is. But I've been saying to you, based off of people I listen to, who again, let me clarify. I'm not saying that I know people in the building. I listen more than I talk, and I like to trust people when I'm like, oh, you give me good information and I trust you. I won't say who these people are, but like, again, I've heard that Dalvin Cook, it was always, if it's not going to happen on the draft, we'd have to wait because Dalvin Cook wants to come here. Obviously, money's going to be a factor. And if he's willing to play ball with contract, like he wants to come here. And so the Dolphins were just sitting pretty like, hey, we'll give you something for him, but it's not going to be much. And Dalvin Cook was like, I'm going to Miami anyway. If they offer me a good contract, you might as well get something for me while you can. And it seems like they called the bluff. And even if they do trade, like the draft is over, so it wouldn't
There's
impact us
no way
till
they
next
trade
year.
now.
Right. So it's like, who knows? Like if we get Dalvin Cook, like, are you joking me? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, it's like things can change. So we have no idea what our roster is going to look like on our team or other teams
Uh,
by a month from now.
and the only other thing I wanted to touch on, like outside of Dalvin Cook, was just like rookie minicamp starting.
Yeah.
I saw just a visual of Elijah Higgins standing next to Cam Smith. I mean, Elijah Higgins is massive. That's a big dude.
We're excited about Elijah Higgins now, are we?
I see it. I see it. I could see it.
You
I
see the
mean,
vision.
yeah, I see the vision. It's
We got to give
well,
it a year. We got to give it a
exactly.
year. We
Exactly.
got to give it a year. Let him develop because again, he's learning a new position. But dude, I told you, and like the size comparison, I think he's like an inch shorter than DK Metcalf, but he's like the ratio of like height to weight, it's like damn near identical to like Terrell Owens and DK Metcalf, and like the dude is rocked up and he's athletic as hell. He just needs, and he can block. The issue is now let's teach him the nuances of the position, which there is literally no one better than John Embry to do that. So like I'm telling you, man, even Cam Smith looks like a baller. You
Yeah.
remember when Javon Holland came in and like you just like knew, like I was huge on Javon Holland. He was my number one safety coming out that year. Because my brother had told me about him like the year before that, and
Mm.
I was huge on him. I was like, oh my god, this dude's electric. Certain players, like as soon as they come in the NFL, they just have a look and a vibe to them to where you're like, oh, okay, you're going to be a baller. Like I don't even need to see it. Like Cam Smith looks like one of those guys where he just is like confident and kind of arrogant and not cocky, but like he just looks like he knows what the hell he's doing. And I don't know, in that 24 man, he looks good as hell.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, dude, it's just awesome just to just talk about the Dolphins in this manner of being
Yeah,
so optimistic and positive. I
right.
mean, it's insane just to think of how far we have come from. I mean, gee, it was what 4 or 5 years ago we won 3 games, and people were saying we had the worst roster in NFL history, and we're trying to like say we're tanking and whatnot, and now look at us. I mean, the
Right.
future is bright, man. It's a great time to be a Dolphins fan.
Oh, dude, it's a phenomenal time. And to all those people who have an issue with tanking, then like I don't know. You must not watch I don't know. Like I don't know what the issue. These guys are getting paid millions of dollars. It's okay for 1 year. You tell them like, hey, we're gonna like definitely go out and try to win. Because tanking isn't you're not trying to win. Tanking is you build a roster to where it's hard to win.
Yeah,
That's tanking. So like
those guys care. They are not the roster is not tanking. The general manager may be tanking, but the
right. It's like
players are playing for their jobs and
right,
everything.
they're like the players are mad. It's like no, the players like they're like yeah, we suck as a roster, but like obviously they're going out and trying to win. It's just you're probably not because if we played the Dolphins of 2019 this year, it would be like okay, well we're going to win by 20 at
Yeah,
least.
right. I
So
was
you know
gonna
what I
say, what
mean?
do
So
you?
like tanking's a thing where you're clearing the roster, you make work with what you have, you try to win as many games, but it's called tanking because your eyes are more so set on the future, and it's not that I heard there were people at the time that were like, the Dolphins should be sued for what they're doing
Yeah,
to the
no,
players. It's like,
insanity,
bro, teams do this every single year.
insanity.
No one cared about the Bengals, and they tank every year, and
Yeah, we
they're not
didn't
even
even
trying to
the
tank.
fifth pick.
Right. So anyway, yeah, I'm excited
I
about where the Dolphins are at, dude. We're high expectations, but I think they're worthy of them, and I'm happy that they have them.
Yeah, any closing thoughts here? I mean, for me, I would just say like just be excited. I mean, seriously, truthfully, like it's rare times where expectations are like this. Embrace them, be excited. Like this is what sports are about. Like you want to be the best team, you want to prove yourself. We got our chance to prove ourselves here, guys. Let's be ready for the season. There's a lot of challenges ahead, but this team is for real. And let's hope they prove it.
Yeah, and I would 100% agree with that. And also, like we see this every year, let's remember what to focus on during this time of year. Let's not worry about what throws Tua is making. Let's not like we saw last year. He can throw the deep ball. Like he was literally like the best quarterback in the NFL at doing it. Like let's chill
I
now. If
hope
we
that
see one
conversation's
pass,
done.
Right, you know what I mean? Like, it's like we saw that
Such
last
a
year. It's
waste
like
of time.
the things I care about now is I wanna see
The defense.
what are the
Yeah.
coverages looking like? Like, I don't expect Vic Fangio to show off everything, but, like, what is the defense looking like? How is Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey, how are they complementing each other? Is Jalen Phillips, like, is he popping? You know, I'm more looking at the development of players now. Like, I
100%.
wanna see, like, does I can't tell you how excited I get when I used to like, I want to see like Devon A Chain is popping and he's playing with the ones. Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see those type of tweets. I don't want to see Tua through an
Yeah.
interception. I'm like, I don't care at all. I'm like, so for Dolphins fans listening, like, focus on the right things. Focus on, like, you know, the contrast between last year. Focus on, you know, what's the vibe around the building. That
How
type of
much
stuff.
ping
Don't
pong tables we have in the building.
right, right. Yeah, yeah. Like everyone's gonna focus on like the Tua highlight throws, and it's like, no, like I don't care about that. I actually want Tua to go out there and not struggle, but like I want him to struggle a little bit because I want him to get familiar with this defense because a third of the NFL is running it. So like I expect Tua to have a worse training camp than last year because it's a new defense he's going against. So just prepare for that. If we see that he's going out there and lighting it up against Vic Fangio's defense, don't get worried about Vic Fangio's defense. Get hyped because like if Tua is going out there and doing that, then like between man coverage and zone coverage with this defense that Vic Fangio runs, like he's covered against like 80% of the NFL defenses. So just like again, setting the expectation for training camp, not so much the season, but training camp's always toxic because like the overreactions are crazy. But
It,
yeah.
two quick questions and then we'll wrap up here. One, I would say the priority that I would like to see from the Dolphins is getting Christian Wilkins in extension. I don't know
Mm.
what the hell is going on here. I'm
All right.
not worried or anything because he hasn't, said anything or anything. But let's wrap that up. Come on,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and then secondly, do you know when training camp officially starts?
So first off with the Christian Wilkins thing, I'm not really sure what's taking up so much time or what's taking so much time with that because you know, I'm one of those people where I understand it's a lot of money for him and I'm not saying that I
So
would pay him like 22 and a half, but at the same time it's like the dude was there yesterday at the Miami Heat game.
Yeah,
He's like
he bleeds Miami. It's a great poster boy.
bleeds Aqua. Yeah, so it's like I'm one of those people where I'm like, just get the deal done. Like I know it's a lot of money, but it's like it's the NFL. I don't know do you want good players or not? If you want or sorry, I didn't mean to curse, but if you want crap players that you don't have to pay a lot of money to, then let's go do that. But if you want good players who you need to pay money to, then this is what happens. So I don't know. I mean, they should have gotten the deal done a while ago. They might be. I keep telling myself they might be waiting for cap space to clear up, but like
That's
by
true.
extending him, they actually clear cap space. So I'm not really sure what's going on. But anyway, so yeah, I'm not sure what's going on, but I expect him to get signed. And then as far as the dates, mandatory minicamp is going to start on June 6th through 8th. And then the Dolphins have their OTAs. There's like six of them, six practices. And those are May 22nd through 23rd, May 25th, May 30th through 31st, and June 2nd. So 10 days from now is
Coming up.
dude, it's coming up like within
It's
the next like
crazy.
3 weeks. And my wedding's coming up on June 3rd. So like this next 3-4 weeks is going to be crazy. So, yeah, but May 22nd would be the first day of OTAs for the Dolphins. And so, yeah, it's like 9 days away. So in 9 days, you're going to see what's up for sure.
All right. Well, that was a great episode. Awesome to break it down with you. I think we're just all in agreement here. The expectations are high as they should be, and ready to get after it, man.
Yep, let's go. Fins up.
Coming. Fins up. Fins up.
Baby. Let's go.
All right, guys.
All right.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks for coming on, guys. Bye.